going live. Now we are live.
Yeah.
One more.
Last one.
Thank you to all the loyal listeners,
Yeah, thanks to you.
Show wouldn't be possible without you.
Not a good place to end it on for my team. I don't think a really good one for you either. For football.
Well, technically we haven't lost
in a month.
As in the Giants. Yeah, we've 3 weeks in a row of winning. So,
Not too shabby.
Yeah, I mean, if the NFL season was only based on the last 3 weeks, we'd be one of the best teams.
I think we're on a 5-game losing streak. I think 4 games.
Yeah, your last win was over us, right?
Pretty sure, yeah.
I gotta tell you, man, that's one I wish. Out of all of them, though, I wish we had back.
That one you wish you
that
had?
That one, like, you did everything. I know it was a month ago and we've already talked about it, but you did everything to hand us that game, man. Every single possible thing. So you're back to Zach Wilson too, huh?
Yeah, the lesser of 3 evils.
Mm-hmm.
He's not good, but holy, were Tim Boyle and Trevor Siemian bad.
I told people, I think I even told you, I was like,
I agreed.
Zach Wilson's bad, but I'm not sure.
It can get worse.
Yes, it can get worse.
Because if I don't know how anyone cleared the idea of a quarterback who threw 1 touchdown to 13 interceptions in college, starting for the NFL.
Yeah.
So yeah, not ideal.
You see, Trevor Lawrence is out for the year too. By the way,
he's out for the year. That was just a high ankle sprain.
I thought he was out for the year. Or is it like?
When did you see that? Because I haven't checked in a couple of days.
He's out for some time. I know that.
Yeah.
You know what's crazy this year? The quarterback injuries. Something like half of the league has their quarterback injured at some point.
I think we're up to 9 with season-ending injuries.
Yeah, because it's like Burrow.
Burrow.
We'll
Rodgers,
see about Lawrence if he comes back.
Deshaun
Jones.
Carr got hurt. I don't know if I think he's coming back.
Derek Carr, yeah, he'll be back. He'll be back.
Kirk is out for the year.
Yep.
Crap. I'm blanking so hard here. Crap. Anthony Richardson. I don't know why.
Anthony Richardson, yeah.
I blanked for that.
And then you got teams that just change quarterbacks, like Tennessee and Pickett's out for Pittsburgh.
Oh yeah, he's gone.
And Kyler started the year injured, so.
Yeah.
All I'm gonna say is for the Giants, it's a little concerning to me that someone named Tommy DeVito is right now leading this offense to the best output it's had. I honestly think we could beat the Packers, but I don't know. Jordan Love's whatever he needed to fix, he's figured it out.
Yeah, looks like he's got it.
I think they're going to be a playoff team this year. They're 6-6. They've won their last 3.
I think there's
they beat the Chiefs and the Lions.
Aren't there 4 NFC teams that they're tied with though? 4 or 5. There's so many.
Yeah, but they're tied.
Teams there.
I think they're tied with the Saints. They're better than the Saints.
True.
I
just don't know who's gonna get that wild card slot because they're not beating out the Lions.
Well, let's see. It's the final show, so we can do a final prediction.
Yeah.
What do you think the playoffs are going to be? It's 49ers are definitely in.
49ers are in. Lions are in.
Lions, Eagles, Cowboys.
I could not care less about the South. I couldn't predict it. I can't.
I'll just say Tampa Bay.
Sure. One of them.
Whoever wins is going to be a first-round bye for the Cowboys anyways. So.
Yeah. And then, so what's that we said?
So that's 5.
That's 5.
So then you'd have to get 2 more out of Packers, Rams, Seahawks. Technically, 2 NFC South teams can make it in, I guess. I guess the Giants are like
You see
technically
that the
alive.
Panthers were the first team eliminated from the playoffs?
Yeah. The Vikings are still alive, although Josh Dobbs looked really bad.
I would give it to Packers and Seahawks if I had to pick two more.
I'd say Packers Rams because the Rams beat the Seahawks twice.
Oh yeah. The Seahawks, I do feel bad because I really do like I
Yeah,
really do like
they're probably going to draft a quarterback, I think.
what's his name? Tariq Woolen, Reek Woolen. I really do like his game, but there was so many comparisons in his rookie year to Sauce Gardner, and now he's like gotten benched.
Really? He got benched?
Yeah, he got benched in the Niners game because he was getting burned too much.
He's a good corner.
He is. And do you see the thing with Jamal Adams? That whole fiasco?
Is he injured again?
No, he a Jets beat reporter, so not the least biased person to talk about Jamal Adams, posted a clip of him getting absolutely burned on a touchdown, and he said "yikes," and he titled it "yikes." And Jamal Adams, being the class act he is, responded with a photo of the reporter's wife titled "yikes,"
Oh my god. Jamal Adams has played like three games
which
in
was
the
a
last
PR disaster.
3 years, so
Yeah.
I don't know if 2021 Jamal Adams maybe could talk like that, but
Absolute destruction of Seahawks PR. That really hurt them. That Jamal Adams incident.
I still like Witherspoon. I think he's still my defensive rookie of the year.
I like Witherspoon too. I don't know if he's. I don't know. It's got to be Witherspoon or Carter. I feel like those are definitely the top two.
Hey, how about the Eagles getting annihilated? I did not
That
see
was
that
enjoyable.
coming. I did not see that coming.
No, I think we were both on here saying I don't see why the Niners are like 10-point favorites, and that's why they were, because they won by what, 23,
Yeah.
something like that.
Yeah, I mean they were just better.
The
I
O line
think
didn't looked like the worst it's looked all year. And there's one play where Jalen Hurts was like, he had so much time to pass and he ran back and he slipped for a loss of like 20 yards. I think that was when the game was pretty close, and I think that just
I'll say this: the
killed their
Eagles.
momentum.
I originally said the Eagles have no weakness, and that's wrong. Their weakness is that they have really bad linebackers. Like they just signed Shaq Leonard from the Colts,
Yeah,
and that might solve it.
I think it'll definitely help.
But for all the talent they have on defense, between this game, even the Jet game with letting up 24 to Zach Wilson, Kirk Cousins threw for 4 touchdowns on them. Like their defense, it's got a lot of talent, but it has a tendency to not show up from time to time.
I think a lot of it goes. I think their biggest weakness, I've said it all season, is their offensive play calling. I don't think their offensive coordinator's very fit for the job, to be honest with you. Maybe he can change that, but he has not. He has so many tools to work with, and he just, I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I'm maybe not as critical, but I will say for having AJ Brown and the other guy who won the Heisman Trophy,
Yeah. Why am I
Smith.
Smith, yeah.
They have Swift, the running back.
Hurts
For having all
is
that,
an MVP candidate.
they throw way too. Like, how many screen passes are the Eagles going to throw?
A lot.
Like, I know they have a good offensive line, but like at some point, you have AJ Brown. Just chuck it downfield.
Yeah.
They try and use him like he's Deebo Samuel or something.
And then there's games like the Jets game, one of the Eagles now 2 losses, where Sauce and DJ Reed were both out. So rather than attack the Jets' pretty weak relative to the rest of their defense, run defense, and use DeAndre Swift, they decided to throw the ball 45 times, which led to 3 interceptions and a lost game. Like, just so many odd decisions.
No, with all that said, they're still my Super Bowl pick.
Yeah, I could see that. I don't think anyone. I've heard some Cowboys resurgence because Dak's playing really well about them saying it's their year again.
The Cowboys could win against the Eagles this game. They need to prove it in the playoffs for me. They gotta make the conference finals before I start to take them seriously. I'm sorry. They've just
Yeah.
I've heard they're next up for what, like 8 years now.
Yeah. Even before Dak, they were next up the entire Tony Romo era.
I mean, they've been next up since I was born. So
Yeah. I would give it definitely NFC. The two are Eagles and Niners, and there's everyone else is a tier below. Maybe the Cowboys are the only ones in the tier below, though. I don't know if the Lions are on the Cowboys level.
Yeah, I mean, we'll see. I've cooled a little on the Lions because they've started. I mean, they easily could have lost to the Saints.
They've come down to earth a little bit.
Still a good team, but
yeah.
Aiden Hutchinson's having kind of a down year, actually. Their defense is okay. It's not great. They got to work on that.
AFC Chiefs, I guess. Ravens are up there. I still don't buy the Dolphins hype.
The Chiefs are going to win the AFC West because the Broncos, it was a nice run, but I don't think they're...
Dolphins are winning the East.
Dolphins are going to win the East, although I think the Bills are going to make a late run here.
The South is...
Ravens win AFC North.
Honestly, if this sidelines Trevor Lawrence, the Texans might take the AFC South.
Maybe, because I don't know
if he misses 2 weeks, that could be a difference. That could be +2 for the Texans and -2 for the Jaguars.
I'm going to agree with you. I think Texans are going to get that AFC South. By the way, the Colts are have a shot at making the playoffs.
They're what, like 7-5?
Yeah.
Yeah. Gardner Minshew's hype train's back on.
The AFC is going to be there's so many Browns, Steelers, Colts,
just disgusting football.
Bills, just a bunch of there's a lot of good defenses in the AFC.
Just gross,
all their
quarterbacks. Football.
Honestly, it's shaping up, even though I don't love them, it's shaping up to be a Chiefs Super Bowl year because just everybody else is getting hurt.
I'm all in on the Ravens hype, to be honest with you.
I agree with you. I think if Lamar Jackson's going to make a Super Bowl, it's got to be this year. With everybody getting hurt, Josh Allen's on the only thing
is Mark Andrews freaking getting hurt. It hurts so much. Because now Zay Flowers, even though he's great, he's now the number one guy on that team.
Yeah.
And OBJ is number 2.
You got an MVP? MVP favorite? Right now, the favorite is tied between Brock Purdy and Dak Prescott. Because
I'll tell you, those two candidates, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I mean,
Purdy.
If it's Brock Purdy, that's got to be one of the weakest MVPs in a while.
And how can you win the MVP when you aren't first in your division?
I'm really annoyed that, of all the years, this has to be the year to give it to Tyreek Hill, right?
Yeah.
2,000 yards.
Tyreek Hill, or maybe you could argue McCaffrey, but I'd say probably Hill since running backs don't matter as much.
Tyreek Hill's about to put up 2,000 yards.
Yeah.
Are you really going to tell me, I know quarterbacks are always more valuable, but, is Dak really having that much better a year than he's had in previous years?
He's having a really good year. But Jalen Hurts was having a really strong case before that Niners game, which I thought would have been a fine pick. Maybe Lamar gets a second. I could go with that.
I'm going to tell you, man, if Dak beats the Eagles, he's probably winning it.
The only thing with Lamar is his numbers don't look great, but it's just because everything's been clicking on all cylinders. They're winning so many games based off their run game and defense. He doesn't need to put up the stats of 30 touchdowns, 6 interceptions.
I know you hate it, but Tua's top 5. Tua's actually got higher odds than Tyreek Hill.
I find that disrespectful to Tyreek Hill. I know people are going to disagree with me. I still stand by the fact that he's or my opinion that I don't think he's a top 5 quarterback in the league.
Well, I don't think anybody's saying top 5, but he's top 10.
But if you're not a top 5 quarterback and you're not the best player on your own team, what's your business winning MVP?
Well, Dak Prescott's not the best player on his team, and they're going to give him MVP if
might
he
be.
beats the Eagles.
No, he's not. But he's making a. I don't know. I feel better about saying Dak is than Tua is
Wait, the Cowboys have the Eagles and Lions. If he beats those two teams,
because Dak doesn't have a Tyreek Hill throwing to a Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle combo.
no, what I'm saying is if he beats those two teams, he's MVP.
Sorry, say that again. The Eagles and Niners.
If Dak Prescott beats the Eagles this week, and then I think on Christmas Day they play the Lions.
Oh, the Lions.
If he beats those two teams and has great performances against them, he's probably your MVP. That's probably who they'll vote for because he's a Cowboy. He's having a really good year.
Maybe it's their year. I don't know. They've
Mhm.
been saying it long enough. It has to happen eventually, right?
Can we also stop with the Deron Bland is great. Like he's got 5 pick sixes. That's incredible. But he had not a good game against DK Metcalf.
He's a great ball hawk.
Yeah.
He can pick him off, but he's not great in coverage.
But he's not defensive player of the year.
No.
Like that would probably be
Myles Garrett.
Yeah. Maybe even TJ Watt, although he's starting to fade a little. I'll tell you, though, I think Mahomes should be in the conversation with what he's doing with that receiving core. I'm not saying he should win it. I'm just saying you want the most valuable player. There you go.
I can definitely see that. I mean, every year he should be the favorite to win it if it's just given out to the most valuable player in the league.
But yeah.
It's all about narratives.
Mm-hmm.
I think it'll go to either Tua or Dak, if I'm being honest. Because I think that's what that's what the people want.
I think those two teams play too. I think Dolphins, Cowboys play too.
Yeah, they should because we played the Cowboys.
Mm-hmm.
And the Dolphins will lose because the Cowboys are above 500.
Boy, Tyreek Hill is good, man.
He definitely is. I will not lie. He is the best offensive player that the league has seen in a long time.
He's Offensive Player of the Year. I don't even think there's any debate over it. I mean,
the only way that Tyreek Hill isn't Offensive Player of the Year is if he's MVP.
Yeah. Offensive Rookie of the Year, CJ Stroud, too. No one needs to argue about that.
Yeah, some of these are fine debates. I think Comeback Player of the Year, I would give it to Russ. I know there's DeMar Hamlin hype, but Russ has been so much better.
Well,
and
DeMar Hamlin hasn't even played, so I mean.
But I know, isn't he still the favorite to win it? Because he.
I mean, I guess he is technically the Comeback Player of the Year because he came back from death. Yeah. So.
I mean, coming back from a situation like that and then being in game shape is definitely very remarkable.
What about Baker having a good year?
Baker, I don't think his lows weren't as low as Russell Wilson and his high, and I think Russell Wilson's playing better.
But Russell Wilson isn't playing fantastic though.
He's playing like a top 15 quarterback compared to last year when he was a bottom 2 quarterback.
Yeah. Well, who won it last year? It was Geno Smith, right?
Geno Smith should win Fall-Off Player of the Year for this year.
No, Fall-Off Player of the Year would be probably one of the Joneses. If I'm just being honest. Fall-Off Team of the Year is probably the Giants. I mean, I know they only won 9 games, but still.
Maybe.
We'll go get Jaden Daniels, though, in the draft.
I can't think of any players that I'm trying to think.
Did anybody have a harder fall-off than the Giants? Maybe the Bills if they miss the playoffs.
Well, the Giants won a playoff series or won a playoff game.
I mean, I don't want to say the Bengals because Joe Burrow got hurt.
I was thinking individual players falling off.
You know.
Dalvin Cook.
Was he good last year though?
He was a Pro Bowler.
Yeah, I guess so. Justin Jefferson's been hurt, so I don't know if he really counts.
I'm locking in Dalvin Cook.
Dalvin Cook. How many yards does Dalvin Cook have this year? Does he even have 100?
He gets like 0.2 yards per run and like 20 runs per game.
Oh
Or
goodness.
no, like 10 runs per game. I think he's at like 2 yards per attempt right now, and like 10 attempts per game. So he should be at like. No way, he's that high though. I don't think so. Does he get 10 attempts per game? That doesn't make any sense.
I'm gonna say he has like 120 yards. But that's no. But I mean, while you look it up, it's crazy
He
that
has
it's
197 yards.
okay. It's crazy that he was such a commodity when he got cut, and the Vikings look like geniuses for doing that because he's been
Just the worst.
I mean,
Just a untalented player this season.
and I know the Jets' offensive line isn't good, but that doesn't explain why Breece Hall's having a good year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Any
other NFL stuff you want to talk about?
We talked about Offensive Player of the Year, Defensive Player of the Year, MVP, Rookie Awards.
Mm-hmm.
We talked about Comeback Player of the Year.
Mm-hmm.
Coach of the Year? Anyone in mind?
Sean McVay.
Give it to McVay? I mean, I feel like that's a safe pick. You could also give it to Shanahan just because it's Shanahan.
You can just, yeah, I mean, but they don't really give it. They don't give it to the best
It's
coach
most
normally.
improved coach.
Normally, it's like a Brian Daboll type where they like take a team that was projected to win like 5 games, and that's why I say McVay.
I'm completely blanking here, and I feel so bad about it. What's the Houston Texans coach's name?
Oh, D'Amico Ryans.
D'Amico
another
Ryans.
good. That's another good one.
Blanked there. Yeah, D'Amico Ryans has been really good.
If the Packers go on a run late,
maybe
Matt LaFleur could win it.
I don't know. Raiders season's kind of over, but Dameon Pierce has been all right for them.
He's not coach of the year, but
No.
he's been.
He changed the culture.
I tell you, if there was a worse coach of the year, it would go to Josh McDaniels.
Yeah. I still can't believe Frank Reich got canned, though. I don't think he was the biggest problem. Like, definitely not in that division. I don't get it in that division where Arthur Smith is coaching, how Frank Reich got fired first.
You know, Arthur Smith's probably going to get another year, right?
Oh.
Because they're going to win like 9 games because of their division. They might even win. They're the leaders in the NFC South right now.
I don't think anyone's ever going to draft Kyle Pitts again in fantasy football. Like in the history of his career, like for the rest of his career.
I've never seen a scenario where like a player doesn't produce, not because he's not like it's not like Kyle Pitts is a bust. It's just that no one throws him the ball.
Same thing with Drake London, really talented player.
Mm-hmm.
And now Bijan too. He's not getting the run attempts. They're throwing in Tyler Algier for no reason.
I don't know, man. Desmond Ridder could win the NFC South. That's crazy.
Thank God the Falcons are out of range for Marvin Harrison Jr. now because God knows they'd waste him.
Maybe they'll draft a quarterback and sit him behind Desmond Ridder.
You think Bo Nix needs development time?
I don't think Bo Nix is going to be that high a draft pick, to be honest.
I think he would be. Where do you think he's going to go?
Like 2nd or 3rd round?
That's what I mean. I don't think they're going to use a first on him, but like they could use a first for like D-line and then 2nd round take Bo Nix.
I think they're going to go get a veteran quarterback. I think they're going to go get a Kirk Cousins.
Yeah, that would make sense. What time is Kirk supposed to be coming back? Like mid-season next year? He had an Achilles tear too.
You know what would be such a Falcons move is if they went out and they tried to if they traded for. I don't think anybody will, but it would be such a Falcons move to trade for Daniel Jones. to like try and revitalize him,
What would you even want for Daniel Jones?
like they did for Mariota last year.
Yeah. And
I'll take a 7th for him just to get his
a
contract
7th
off.
for Jones? Would
Yeah.
you give up a 6th or 7th?
Yeah,
to
I'd give
get
up a
the
6th
contract?
or a 7th.
Yeah. They might take that, to be honest with you. Anything, and that, like, Daniel Jones would throw Kyle Pitts the ball even less. So Arthur Smith would love him.
Yeah.
That's-
The best quarterback though, I like. There's still Caleb Williams. There's still the Drake May, but this guy at LSU,
Jaden Daniels,
Jaden Daniels, who's probably going to win the Heisman Trophy,
pretty good.
is incredible.
I've seen a lot of mock drafts with the Jets taking him at like 5 or 6.
He's the guy I want in New York.
You want him?
Yeah, because we're not getting Caleb. We're not getting Drake May probably.
So you
I'd
take
rather
Jaden
him
Daniels.
over Bo Nix or Penix.
Really talented draft.
Yeah, it's going to be a great quarterback draft.
I don't know. I would take.
Even the Texas guy, the guy at Texas, could come out.
I don't think the Jets would take a quarterback, to be honest with you.
No, they're going to try. They're going to try it again with Aaron Rodgers.
They have to. You can't take a.
Yeah, you can't
go half.
Yeah.
1 foot in, 1 foot out with this. You have to go all O-line and wide receiver.
I mean, they were going to bring him back. If they were like 6 and 7 right now, he'd probably be starting this week.
Yeah.
If anything, that losing streak might have like helped you, because you don't have to see like
Him get hurt again.
hobbled Aaron Rodgers get hurt again.
The only justifiable, like, if the Jets by some miracle go sign T. Higgins in free agency, which they won't because I don't think they have the money for it.
Yeah.
Or if they get David Bakhtiari, which I don't think they will.
You guys are going to trade your first for Devontae Adams.
I will flip. I will lose my mind if we trade.
You're going to go get, and then you're going to get David Bakhtiari. Who else are you going to get? You're going to get all the former Packers. Aaron Jones.
Yeah.
Yeah,
we might get AJ Dillon. Why don't you?
Yeah.
He can be our new Dalvin.
Just get all of Aaron Rodgers' friends on the team. Bring Jordy Nelson out of retirement.
I'm excited for next season to see Randall Cobb on the coaching staff, because he will not be returning as a player.
Yeah.
He is maybe the worst player at their position in the NFL.
Mm-hmm. Sounds good. Well, I think we covered NFL. Do you have any NBA that you want to get into, with it being the in-season tournament?
Knicks got eliminated last night, and I mean, it's not ideal to lose, but I don't think you can realistically expect any team to beat the Bucks when they're shooting 60% from 3.
No one's beating the Bucks when they're hot.
Like, they, even on contested shots, they were just making everything.
Mm-hmm.
Giannis hit a 3.
And as someone who has Bucks over Celtics, it does make me a little happy to see the Celtics get knocked out to the freaking Pacers of all teams.
So I can live with it, to be honest with you. I wish that didn't happen, but it's, if you're gonna lose to somebody, and it's the Bucks shooting 60% from 3. It's whatever.
Yeah, I mean, the Knicks
put up 146 points.
Yeah.
What do you do there? You can't guard them on the perimeter, because then Giannis gets a free 2 points, and you can't clog the paint because they're shooting 60% from 3.
Is there like a star the Knicks can go get? Because
no,
that's what they really need to me.
I would love for the Knicks to go all in at the deadline for a Brandon Ingram, but I don't think that's possible.
But I don't even think that really gets you above like the Bucks.
Well, no. I think the best the Knicks can hope for is to be that third team in the East, because we're not getting a top 10 player.
There's got to be someone's going to ask out soon. I just feel like someone's going to ask out soon. I just don't know who.
The player that fits the narratives right now is Donovan Mitchell, but I don't know if he would fit with the Knicks.
He just got to Cleveland. He's already going to leave Cleveland?
He didn't want to be. He got traded there.
I know.
You want to live in Cleveland?
He just got there, man. They gave up like a ton to get him.
If I got traded to Cleveland and then the team was vastly underperforming,
That's true.
and my home team really wanted me, I would go there.
What about maybe the Knicks? There's no one like that. Is there anybody coming up who's going to be like Wembanyama hype level?
No, not even close. This draft class is pretty.
But is there
not
someone who's like at
memorable.
least like
No, it's not even like a Cade Cunningham. It's like there's like
maybe
two,
there's someone on the future though, right?
like on the Knicks.
No, I'm saying like because if I was the Knicks and I can't get a star, like I thought maybe Anthony Edwards would be that guy if Minnesota wasn't good, but they're
really
great.
good.
I would consider because you have so many picks. I would have considered like if there was someone crazy coming up, not even in this year's draft, but next year's draft, trying to trade up to get that number one pick.
Now, like trying to trade now.
Well, not now. I'm saying,
Yeah.
like if in 2 years there's some like kid coming out of
UNC. Or
Yeah.
Duke.
Who's just supposed to be insane.
Yeah.
At least try it because I just don't think this team can get past those two, maybe even those three with how the 76ers are looking. Teams in the East,
Yeah. I mean, the Knicks aren't in a desperate place to make a move, but they haven't been in a desperate place. It was kind of the same thing last year where you don't want to force a bad move, but you also can't do nothing.
Mm-hmm.
One of the Knicks players, Josh Hart, a couple hours ago, posted a tweet that's now blowing up. Like,
what was it?
So there was a report that came out about a Pelicans player named Jose Alvarado, who's good friends with Josh Hart.
Mm-hmm.
And he said that if he won the in-season tournament and got the $500,000 cash prize, he would give it to his daughters.
Mm-hmm.
Because he has like he's set for life on money, and why not just give it to them?
Yeah.
And Josh Hart replied with, "That's stupid. You should get some ice." Last time I checked, it was at
That's crazy.
It was at like 65,000 likes, like something crazy like that.
Yeah, the Pelicans beat the Kings.
They can beat anyone and lose to anyone.
Yeah, that's the perfect definition of them.
If Zion's hot, there's very few teams who are stopping them.
Zion's fun to watch. He just,
a little bit of a down year from him so far.
Mm-hmm.
Not as efficient, less points.
Yeah, it's just hard to, it's kind of like the Knicks where it's like, it's kind of hard to see the Pelicans beating like Denver or Phoenix or.
Yeah. They really are the Knicks West.
Even OKC. I'm all in on the Thunder, by the way.
I can see that.
I'm all in.
Chet, rookie of the year all the way. He's been, I think he's shooting like 50, 40, 90.
Dude, think about how scary their team could be in a few years because they have all these picks. If they trade it for even like a semi-good player, like who's the guy on the Nets? Mikal Bridges. They could trade some of their picks for him, right? And they have so many, they can trade like 5. And then you could have him, Shea, Chet Holmgren, the Williams guy, their first-round pick from this year. Josh Giddey, I guess, if he gets out of these allegations.
They have some really good role players too, like Isaiah Joe shooting like 60.
They have a ton of money. There
was someone that was like
they've got a really bright future.
There's someone that they were hoping to land. I forget who it was, but some disgruntled. It was like I can't remember. I'm struggling right now to remember. And
honestly, Indiana's surprising. I didn't think that Tyrese Halliburton was this good, but no, he is. He's
showing people how good he is.
I was questioning him earlier. I was like, well, is he really the best? I think he could be the best player on a championship team.
I don't know. Maybe he's got to make the playoffs first.
And they could use a second guy next to him.
I'm trying to figure out who it was that I saw. Oh,
beating the Celtics is mightily impressive.
Imagine how crazy it would be if you take this current OKC roster, the starting five
Mm-hmm.
of Giddy, Shea, Williams, or Dort, Williams, and Chet. Take Dort
Dort
out.
too, yeah.
Take Dort out. Move move Williams back to the three, and add in Lowry, Markkinen. That would
Yeah,
be a
that's pretty good.
crazy team. And Lowry's only like 27, I think. So
Mhm.
still very young.
And we look in 5 years, Chet and Shea are probably going to be 2 top 10 players.
Shea might already be a top 10 player, and
Maybe.
Chet's like top 25, knocking on that door right now.
What a terrible trade that Paul George trade was.
I was before the draft last year. I was team Chet all the way for the number 1 overall pick. I didn't understand why Paolo and Jabari.
Hey, Paolo's playing good though.
I know he is, but that was like a lot of people were making me eat my words because Chet got hurt in summer league, and then Paolo won Rookie of the Year.
That's gonna be a debate though.
I'd take Chet 100% of the time.
You think 100% of the time?
He's been one of the best defenders.
Because Paolo's pretty good.
Chet's like shooting like 50, 40, 90 as a rookie big man.
I'm not.
He's shooting like 50%.
I'd agree with you.
He's like shooting 50% from mid range at 7 foot. That's KD stuff. While being a top defender in the league. I don't know. I'm all in on Chet. And Jalen Williams, J-Dub is really good too.
Yeah.
I think the Wolves and Magic are going to come down to earth soon. I think they're both going to be I think the Wolves are still going to be a playoff team, and I think the Magic are going to be, at the very least, a play-in team. I think they're going to be high play-in, low playoffs.
Problem with the Magic is they've got what is it, Franz or Fraz?
I think it's Franz is how you say it.
Him and Paolo, but they don't really have a lot of other great players.
They have a lot of really good role players, but
they've got some picks, so they could take them and trade for Markkinen or someone like that, or Mikal Bridges.
If Markkinen goes anywhere, it's going to be terrifying. I can't believe how much he's changed into being how good he is now.
How good? Like, how many points does he average?
I want to say 23-ish, 22-ish, and he's on great efficiency as a 7-foot 3-point shooter.
Can he defend?
He isn't a liability, but he isn't a fantastic defender. That's why when you put him as like a 3, people have questions because he's not really fast, but as a 4, he's super good.
He's 27 though, so they might
27.
They might trade him though. They might consider trading him.
I hope they do. I hope they trade him to a team that's one piece away.
Lakers?
If they trade him to the Lakers, that would be awful for the league.
Why, you think he'd make them into a title contender?
Maybe.
I mean, they might already be, but
I just don't think. I don't know.
They're in the semifinals of the
IST.
Yeah. And I think it'll be Bucks Lakers. Although one game, you never know what you can get from Zion.
I might take the Pacers over the Bucks, to be honest with you. I don't think that the Bucks shot so well versus the Knicks. I can't expect them to shoot well versus the Pacers.
The one worry I have with the Bucks, and like I actually first heard it from you, and I was like, man, stop it. But now that I think about it, it's like, yeah, their defense isn't what it was.
No. Because
like Giannis is still really good, so is Brook Lopez, but Drew Holiday's a huge loss.
They don't have anyone to slow down the guards, like driving into the paint. Now instead of Drew Holiday like bringing them to a halt and then they get forced into a bad shot, it's Damian Lillard trying to defend them.
Yeah, and they don't really have a bench either.
They had a bench against us, let me tell you that.
Yeah, but I don't know. Detroit hasn't won a game in a month.
Yeah, no win November.
Detroit exists. The Pistons exist so that every other fan base can feel better in any sport. Like,
except now the Lions currently. I feel like the Lions.
no, I'm saying the Pistons, like
Oh.
that team.
I thought you meant in any like Detroit as a city makes every other.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know. I think the Pistons and Lions kind of did they're kind of inverses where the Pistons have a great history and they're awful, and then the Lions have an awful history and they're pretty good.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, I don't understand how you go a full month without winning in a sport where there's like 80 games, but I don't know. It's beyond me.
Very terrible. I mean, even the Spurs are on a 14-game losing streak, and like, look at the Pistons. At least we're not them.
Are you still going to take Chet over, what's his name, Wembanyama?
100%.
100%?
No, not 100%. They're neck and neck. Wembanyama, I feel like, definitely could be better.
He'll be the best player in the league one day. Probably when Jokic slows down.
He just can't shoot as well as people said that he would be able to. It's part of it's not having a real point guard, but
he's not. I bet you.
Look, I think he's shooting like 27% from three.
What's Chet shooting?
Like 40-something%.
I'm gonna say, I think it might be closer than you think.
I think it depends on situation because Chet has a great situation.
27%. Yeah. Okay, that's not as good as I thought. It's 27% versus 39%. Okay. I don't know. I think Wembanyama is a little raw, so he's got some.
I think he would be doing a lot better if Jeremy Sohan wasn't running point guard. If a 6'7" power forward wasn't running point guard for the team.
Yeah, everybody said the Spurs was like the best place for him to go, but I don't know.
Yeah, they have a rich history, but
I feel like I would have rather, if I was him, I feel like I would have rather went to like maybe the Rockets or something.
No. I'm staying far away from Houston.
What's wrong with Houston, man?
I'm staying. The past couple of years, their player development has just been awful, just the worst. Şengün has been really good this season, but Jalen Green has not improved his game at all.
Okay, I guess so.
Kevin Porter Jr. is already off the team. A lot of their draft picks, like Ty Washington,
maybe Orlando would have been
already
the place
off the
to
team.
Go.
Orlando would be nice.
Indiana would have been good with Halliburton.
Yeah.
Shoot, I would have even taken the Jazz over San Antonio right now. Although, of course, like San Antonio could be good in a few years. I'm not saying they can't, but as of right now, which again, it's not really about right now, but I don't know. Like they need to get a real supporting cast.
They need a point guard.
They need a new everything. Besides,
you think they need a new coach?
Not that. I'm not ready to throw.
You're not out on Pop yet?
No, I'm not out on him, but I am out on their.
A lot of people have been out on Pop because of the Sohan thing.
He just needs to find his Tony Parker.
Yeah. I think they could go get I don't know, who's going to be a veteran point guard that's on the market next year? I could not tell you. Kyle Lowry, but he's been very bad.
Don't get Kyle Lowry.
Kyle Lowry might make Wembanyama play even worse than Sohan at point guard.
There's talk Trae Young could ask out for a trade in a few years. You taking Trae Young on the Spurs with Wembanyama?
It's gonna sound like I'm salty, and it's partially because I am, because I had to watch the Hawks destroy them
this.
3 years ago, maybe 3 years ago at this point.
See, I knew you would say this.
I genuinely I am going to sound very like just upset and like biased, but I don't think you can build a championship team around Trae Young.
But what if he's the number 2 to Wembanyama?
It's the defense. His offense is unquestionably good. Like he might. It's just they have so many. The Hawks have
But he's
every
one
single.
player though. You could surround him with like Wembanyama's
But
already a
like
top
Clint
defender.
Capella is a great defender. DeAndre Hunter is a great defender. DeJounte Murray is one of the best guard defenders.
Are they great defense? Are
That
those
he has
guys?
those. I don't know how much better of a defense you can build around him. Like realistically, and then if you build a genuinely talented defense around him, how good is the offense going to be outside of him?
Well, Jokic isn't a great defender, and they built a great team around him.
But Trae Young might be like the worst defender in the league. Jokic was like at his worst a below average defender for a big man. I think he's even been good. Like recently, he's been a good not a great defender, but a good defender.
You just got to get a Klay Thompson next to him.
But they added DeJounte Murray. He made all defense. He's a great guard defender, and he just looks terrible next to Trae Young.
I don't know. You know who would be good for the right now for the Spurs? And I'm not a fan of his, but I think Chris Paul would actually be good, or like a Mike Conley type.
Mike Conley's great. I would love a Mike Conley type on the.
Just because I say like Chris Paul is like he's not. He's old. He shouldn't really be starting anymore. But for the Spurs, he'd be better than what they have now.
Fred VanVleet, I would say, would be good if he didn't sign a 3-year deal with the Rockets last.
The perfect guy would have been Halliburton. If San Antonio had Halliburton and Wembanyama, that team would be.
Halliburton has no help around him. He has no offensive talent around him. Miles Turner's pretty good. Benedict Matherin's cool off the bench. Obi Toppin's been pretty good this year. Buddy Hield, great shooter, not much else. But
yeah, they got to get a second.
If he had
if he had Wembanyama, oh my!
I feel like if you imagine him with any big man, any good big man in the league, it sounds disgustingly good. Like imagine him paired with I don't know, Pascal Siakam. Sabonis would be crazy.
Embiid.
Anyone. If you
yeah, that's
hypothetically,
true.
if you put any good player next to Tyrese Halliburton, it seems insanely good. They remind me a lot of the Kings last year, though, because they're putting up all-time offense rating numbers.
I think the Kings are better though than the Pacers.
Yeah, they play a lot in the transition. Their defense isn't too good.
You want to talk about rookie? You want to know who's the Bryce Young of the NBA right now? Scoot Henderson.
Remember Bryce Young hasn't been that bad.
Remember the Scoot Henderson?
Bryce Young hasn't been that bad.
Okay, but you get what I'm saying.
Yeah, I get what you're saying. But Bryce, I was gonna say
remember the Scoot Henderson hype? Remember people who were killing
the Hornets?
The Hornets
for taking Brandon Miller.
They took Brandon Miller, and Brandon Miller is
he's been good. He's been a top 5 rookie so far.
He's been good, but even if he was bad, he'd still be better than Scoot Henderson.
Scoot has not been good. I would say Bryce Young comparison in the NBA for rookies would be who went? It's not either the Thompson twins. It's not Wembanyama.
Scoot Henderson. I mean, it's not a perfect comparison.
That's so awful.
But no comparison.
That's so bad.
Yeah, maybe that'd be like Quentin Johnston or something.
Yeah, Quentin Johnston and Scoot Henderson are perfect match for each other. I'd say Bryce Young's like a Bilal Coulibaly, one of Wembanyama's teammates. He's in Washington right now. He's been all right.
Jordan Poole.
Yeah, he's been all right.
Man, you want to talk about fall offs? We were talking about that earlier. Remember when Jordan Poole was like 6th man of the year or whatever?
I thought he would win. I genuinely thought he would score 40 points a game on 6% shooting, but he's
not even better than Kyle Kuzma.
It's not his team at all.
Yeah, really, dude. It's my team. You just got there. What are you talking about? It's my team.
If I was them, I would bench him. Make him a 6 man again.
You can't bench him though. He makes too much money.
I would just give up, just pay
Like,
him.
they're talking they should trade him. Like, trade him for what?
I would just bet like you
You're
can't have
tanking.
that. You can't have him starting with he's ruining the culture.
You're
that
tanking
any
for
culture that's
whoever,
left for I don't know.
whoever in this draft. You're tanking for at least you traded Bradley Beal. I mean, Jordan Poole's not great,
Yeah.
but at least you got off Bradley Beal.
I feel so bad for this Washington Wizards front office because they came in after Bradley Beal's deal got signed, and they've been trying so hard to do everything in their power
But that
to
was
have a competent rebuild.
But they traded him, and that
They
looks
did.
like a great decision because
They traded away Porzingis for a all right package, I guess.
they probably should. They should have
He was
gotten
in,
more,
but Porzingis was leaving anyways. He was expiring.
that's true.
They traded away Beal.
Great deal.
Great, very good package for what they had for deal. Kuzma's having a career year, so they could probably ship him out now.
I think they just re-signed him to some massive contract.
They got a first for Chris Paul. They had to take Jordan Poole on with it, but I mean, they got a first-round pick for him.
Yeah, so for Bradley Beal, they essentially got Jordan Poole and a bunch of firsts.
Yeah,
which is, I know Poole's not great, but it's one anchor contract for another, and at least it looked good at the time.
Yeah, it does not put butts in seats though, like people thought it would.
No, because Jordan Poole's not a star.
No, but he was like a recognizable name at least.
Yeah, but he's not like a star player.
You can't get a star player in Washington.
Yeah, probably.
Unless they're homegrown, unless they're John Wall or Bradley Beal, where you drafted them there and basically handcuff them to stay for like 10 years. I don't see how you get a star in Washington.
Yeah. The Clippers are having a rough time of it.
Yeah. James Harden looks as bad
Warriors
as ever.
are having a tough time too.
Warriors look like they've fallen off a cliff.
Nuggets. Okay, so I guess we can because we're almost out of time here. Should we do East and West predictions right now?
Sure.
Just
the top.
Who you have out of the East?
So top 6 teams in each.
Sure, and then your pick to come out.
All right. East, I'll take Boston 1, Milwaukee 2.
Mm-hmm.
Philly 3.
Don't forget the Heat.
Miami 4.
Hawkes.
Knicks 5. And Magic 6.
What a steal that was. Hawkes for the Heat?
Yeah. People are too harsh on older rookies. He's like 22 years old, then that's why he fell so far, but he's also just good at everything.
If they had the draft today, he'd go top 5.
Yeah, probably. I mean, maybe. Potential's people are still
yeah,
the Thompson twins could be the best players in the league.
I honestly agree with your East.
Maybe Pacers over Magic. Pacers might be over Magic.
Yeah, one of those two.
I honestly think the Cavs missed the playoffs. They've been bad.
They're not going to miss the playoffs.
Not that they're going to make the play-in, but maybe as the 7th.
Yeah, the play-in teams are going to be those, pretenders like Hawks, Cavaliers. Yeah. Honestly, the Pacers, even though they're good.
And then I'll take the Celtics to come out of the East.
Okay, I'd agree with pretty much everything you said, except I'm still taking the Bucks.
I think the Celtics match up too well against the Bucks.
I don't think the Celtics team is going to win a ring.
I hope they don't. I'd like it if they didn't. I'd prefer if they didn't.
Mm-hmm.
And then West, Nuggets 1 seed.
Yep.
OKC 2 seed.
Mm-hmm.
Suns 3 seed.
Okay. The West is always so jumbled up that you could get any order.
Minnesota 4 seed.
Agreed.
Kings 5 seed.
Yeah, they always win a lot of regular season games.
And then to round out the 6, I'll put the Lakers. I might be forgetting somebody.
No problem with that. The only team I take out is probably the Kings, and I put Dallas.
Oh, I forgot about Dallas. I'll take the Lakers down a notch. Put the Mavericks at 5 and the Kings at 6.
Mm-hmm. I think the Rockets are going to fall off too. I don't think they're a play-in team.
Only team in the NBA right now to have not won an away game yet.
That's crazy.
Even the Pistons have won an away game.
Out of the West, I got Denver.
Yeah, me too.
And I got Denver going back-to-back, by the way.
Me too. Until proven otherwise. I mean, Jokic was the first player in NBA history to lead the playoffs in points, rebounds, and assists.
I think they got a dynastic element to them, to be honest.
Yeah.
The way they eviscerated everybody last year.
I love their drafting too. They're getting all these late firsts, early seconds, and turning them into solid players like Christian Braun, Peyton Watson, good role players for a championship team.
Mm-hmm. I know a guy I went to high school with knows Julian Strother, who's this guy on the Nuggets who they got, who's shooting really well.
Is he was he a guard?
He's from Gonzaga.
Oh no, I was thinking of a different guy.
He's one of those Gonzaga players who stays for 7 years and
no, I think I am thinking of him. He was
comes out when he's 28.
Yeah, he was 22 years old. He was undersized, not a great athlete for the NBA. Obviously, one of the best athletes in the world, but
and their top and their 4 best guys are crazy.
I said it at the
Jokic,
time.
Porter, Murray, Gordon.
KCP's still really good.
KCP's good.
You got
DeAndre Jordan just had a 20-point game.
Reggie Jackson looked like prime Kobe versus the Clippers.
Yep.
DeAndre
Jordan had his most amount of points since hoverboards were in style.
Oh.
That was the funniest thing of the year when I saw that DeAndre Jordan had 20 points.
Yeah, the Shaq and Kobe, Reggie Jackson, and DeAndre Jordan game. I can't believe the Clippers lost that game at home.
That's crazy.
Versus the Nuggets without Jokic, Gordon, and Murray.
DeAndre Jordan had 20. DeAndre Jordan hasn't had 20 since the Chainsmokers were making music.
He hasn't. I feel like he hasn't had 20 since Pumped Up Kicks was a number 1 hit.
People were doing the whip the last time. I mean, it's come on, man. But you got an MVP for the NBA?
Jokic.
Luka.
Fair choice.
I think this is the year Luka gets it.
I'd say Jokic 1, Luka 2, Giannis 3.
I just they hate giving it to Jokic. Jokic should have been it last year and they didn't give it to him.
Yeah. No chance it's Embiid. If it's Embiid, it's actual zero. He's been playing really well. I feel bad, but I'm not an Embiid fan. It's
crazy that last year, everybody thought Embiid was better than Jokic. Not everybody, but it was probably the consensus opinion.
I could not take. I watched him flop too much. I couldn't handle it. I was losing my mind. I didn't even think he was top 2. Thought it should have been Giannis over.
I thought it was stupid how people called Jokic a choker, and then we're but Embiid's some elite playoff.
Jokic hasn't done anything in the playoffs yet. Let's give it to the guy that's never made a conference finals.
Yes, exactly. Well, that's our show, pretty much. Unless you got anything else.
Go Rangers.
I was at an Islander game yesterday.
How was it? Did they win?
They blew a 4-1 lead with 7 minutes to go. To the worst team in the NHL.
Did they give up 3 and then lose an OT?
Yeah. No. They basically did the equivalent of blowing a 30-point lead to the Pistons.
Are you an Islanders fan or are they just convenient?
Cheaper tickets.
Yeah. That's fair.
Ranger tickets, especially because they're really good this year, the cheapest ones are probably going to be about $200.
And that's nosebleeds.
Yeah. Whereas opposed to the Islanders, who
you can get a box seat for $5.
Maybe not $5, but my seats, which were all the way up, cost $10 each.
Yeah.
Granted, it was a Tuesday, but
good show. Good 10 episodes of the podcast.
Yeah, I mean, I enjoyed it.
I feel like it was a pretty solid batch.
I just wish we had a better, last year would have been more fun because, the Jets had that hot start. The Giants made a playoff game and won it. But you can't always get what you want. especially if you're in New York.
Especially if you're a New York sports fan.
I think that's just the concluding message of the show. So,
all right, yeah, that's a good place to end it.
Yep. Thank you.
Peace.